Hi, I'm Kevin Dedner, founder and CEO of Untitled Health. I often consider myself one of those accidental entrepreneurs, and that is we see a problem or we experience a problem, and then we realize that so many other people have encountered the same problem, and we decide to do something about it. And for me, that was experiencing depression and having trouble finding a therapist who I could form a true connection to. I often describe depression as sometimes it's like a bad cologne. People know that something's not right, that this with you, and you feel like you have sort of like this dark cloud hovering over you, and the faster you try to run away from it, the more precision its target is on you. So if you think about feeling like that and trying to find help and running up against the wall and not finding the help that you need, that can be a really difficult thing, and that's what depression was like for me. I think in America, we've sort of gotten to a place within the last year that we're a lot more honest about this. And we like to say at Hurdle, we face a hard truth. And that hard truth is that the mental health care system as we know it was not designed for everyone. The research and learnings that our therapists lean on are based from research and learning opportunities from middle-class white families who've experienced a single trauma. And when you think about the diversity, the richness of the cultures of our country, we know that preparing our therapists to support one population is not ideal. The key thing that we do differently at Hurdle is we train our therapists in an evidence-based technique that helps them improve and develop more cultural humility and cultural responsiveness. In therapy, there is an overarching problem. Even in the general population, 33% of the general population terminate therapy prematurely because of the lack of provider fit. That number jumps to 50% for African Americans. And so this ideal of forming a therapeutic alliance is a big problem. And so what we're seeing in our early data, which, by the way, the majority of our clients happen to be minorities, is our clients are persisting 2 to 3 times the national average. And we believe that this correlation is tied to the training and the support that we provide our therapists. I actually want to take a step back and talk a little bit about language. Because I think language is really important. And actually, just a couple days ago, I was on a panel and we talked about, the question was around cultural competency. And I said, the idea of cultural competency is a bit arrogant in itself, if you think about it. That means that you taken some class or training and you walk away thinking that you know all about me and my culture, my history, and my family, right? That's a pretty conceited notion that one thinks that they can become competent in another culture. So what I like more is the term of humility. And this is what we train our therapists to sort of work from, this concept of humility. Humility means that I may not have the same bank of experiences that you have, but yet I am going to ask you the right questions to make you feel comfortable, to make your experiences be honored, and to make you feel that I am believing your truth. Now, there's another term that I often like to throw in there, and that term is cultural intentionality. But you cannot have humility if you're not intentional about it. So language is super important, and I think, we're defining these words. These words are taking on new definition in this important inflection point that we have in our country now. And I think our company is going to be a leader in helping to give definition to these words. Well, first of all, I often say no one is more surprised at how well things are going than I am. But the other part about that is we have not arrived at this point, this inflection point for our country, without some sort of pain that we've all experienced. Meaning we've experienced a global pandemic. We've experienced collectively the death, the murder of George Floyd, which really sort of brought on this racial reckoning. And as a result of these two single events, what we've seen in the last year is the largest increase we've ever seen in treatment-seeking behavior among minorities. So that means that more people are attempting to access therapy than ever before. That also means that more solutions have sort of been birthed in this moment. Our company's different because we've always sort of been here. It's been our mission from the very beginning, right? And I think consumers connect with that. We fundamentally have given attention to how we deliver care. So, I'm excited about where we are. The business started in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We've just entered the state of Texas. This fall, we're coming online in Massachusetts and also in California. We've closed our first enterprise contracts. And so the future looks bright. And I believe that this window of people sort of talking about mental health and mental health sort of being a sexy topic to talk about, I don't know that this window will always be open, but what I intend is for our company to be here and to be one of the stable companies that are offering these services for the diversity of our country. It is true that the company, my motivation to start the company came from my experience with depression. But, last summer, I started journaling as a part of my continued self-care and mental health. And what I realized in journaling is that I had so much more to tell about my own personal mental health, and not only just my story, but the collective story of Black people and other minorities in this country. I think we now understand more about trauma than we've ever understood before, and we need to put some narrative to these stories, right? Or to the trauma. And my book is a vulnerable offering, a reflection on me personally and my family of our experiences as Black people in this country. But I think it's a universal story that others will see themselves in. But more importantly, it is an invitation for people to do deep internal work, and also acknowledging that when we begin to do this work around how we've been treated, and even perhaps how we've treated others, that sometimes that burden may be too heavy to carry along. And so what we're also doing is further extending the purpose and the reason of the company and demystifying this process of therapy and the clinical importance of it. Well, the ideal partner is an employer and a payer who recognizes that their current solution is not meeting the needs of all of their employees and members. And they have sort of taken a moral stance that they want to do more, that they want to be a supportive employer, and that they want to be a payer. And that is sort of the main characteristic, that you realize that mental health is not only an issue for many Americans, but it's certainly an issue for many minorities, and that the current system has not been able to meet the needs of minorities. The thing about trauma and pain is that most of us are not adequately equipped to deal with pain and trauma. And when we have these experiences, we naively believe that we can lock the experiences away into a closet and never have to deal with them again. And when we do that, we rob ourselves of our full potential. And so I think for me, I've learned that dealing with those experiences was critically important to me reaching and continuing actually to reach for my full potential.